All right. Well, welcome to Staring into the Abyss. I'm your host, Richard Gerlach. With me, as always, is Marco Patrick Hicks.
Hello.
Matt Brandenburg.
What is up?
And Vitlame Mist.
Yay, hi.
How's everybody been?
It's been interesting.
It's been quite a time.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add.
Also, so can't say that I'm doing well.
Well, I think we're in for a good discussion today.
Yeah.
And this story, I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong. Majorem Satanae Gloriam?
Yeah, I think
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. I guess I got it kind of right. Good enough.
Yeah, I mean,
and you
Latin,
can find
so
it.
I don't. Fuck it.
Yeah, I never learned Latin in school.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Heck,
And you can
what
find
schools
it in
did
the
you guys
collection.
go to?
A regular school.
Yeah, I went to public school.
Existing languages, not dead ones.
Exactly.
Well, that's what happens when I go to a school in the woods, I guess.
Is Latin considered a dead language now?
Yes.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I don't think any countries, like, that's their national language.
I don't know. I mean, like Aramaic is a dead language. I didn't know about Latin. I thought
Yeah.
it was still a thing. I mean, they teach it, right? You got to go to, when they go to seminary school, they have to learn Latin, right?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, but
because the Bible's in Latin, dude.
Yeah.
man, come on. And all these random, like, texts I found in a cave, those are all Latin.
Oh, you should not be reading those. Put those back.
Maybe that's why my computer's all weird. I scanned them and they're on my computer. And then I used the
You
voice.
scanned them, dude?
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Did you upload them?
Oh, well, I haven't put them on, but my internet was jumping around, so maybe it jumped on there. And then I used the text to speech, so the computer actually read it.
Oh.
No.
Oh,
wait,
boy.
we're on the Skype with you, dude? Fuck.
Did you do this in like 2016?
No, man, I did it like a couple weeks ago because I wanted to fix some things, you know?
2020? Did you have them in 2020?
Well, my computer did backdate itself, so maybe somehow it jumped through time and did it, and then came back.
Is it?
It's a time computer.
Do you have like does it when it does the voice to text recognition? Does it talk in like a Hungarian accent?
No, it more sounds like a Furby.
Ooh.
So I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah, none of this is good.
By the way, have you guys heard of Furbies? I mean, it's like brand new.
No.
Wait, what?
It's not.
It's not a new thing, Matt. That's been around for a long time.
Furbies have been around for a while, dude.
Wait.
I don't even know they've been around so long. I'm not sure they're even still around. Are they? Do they still make?
They are. They're back.
They're back.
They're back.
What are they wearing? Fucking bell bottoms now?
Never die.
They never die.
They never die.
From whatever dumpster they were thrown at, and just had to be reborn.
I did watch a video this week of a guy made he like figured out a way to hook Furby up to like a synthesizer, and so through all of the sound, like he figured out like some machine that like would pet the Furby and do all the flip it upside down and all that stuff, and then he would like jack around with the sounds. It was really disturbing.
That sounds like it.
Yeah,
It was
sounds
pretty-
like fuel.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Anyway, sorry for derailing with my Furby talk.
It's okay. I mean,
Well-
I'm pretty sure Damascus Mincemeyer, the author of our story today, would appreciate that diverging
Yes.
diverging
And this
thought.
I'm glad you found his name because my arc does not have his name on it.
I had to go to
no.
about the author section because my arc didn't have his name on it.
Okay.
Crap, I thought it had. Well,
Yeah.
well.
So we're reading from the collection Where the Last Light Dies, and today's story is, let me get to the table of contents, Ad Majorem Satanae Gloriam.
I guess that's right.
Satanae?
Satanae?
Ad Majorem Satanae Gloriam.
Satanae.
Yeah, I think it's Satanae. I think
It's Satanae.
you're
Satanae?
focusing on the wrong spot.
Satanae, Satany.
Either way.
Very he's
The devil
Satan-y.
is Satany. He's got like svelte fur. He's very Satany. I like him.
Yeah. Either way, this is a pretty cool story. We're going to get into it after we give our kind of weekly rundowns.
Just a few minutes.
Speaking of downloading files that we shouldn't be downloading, Matt, and putting them on their computer, Matt. I watched a movie called Dashcam last night.
Oh, thank God! I thought this was a thing.
It could be much darker.
Well, so you know the director Rob Savage, the guy that did Host?
Yes.
He has a new movie coming out called Dashcam. So last night I'm looking at movies to watch, and I see Dashcam is available to rent, and I was like, oh shit, I really want to see this new Rob Savage movie. I'm so surprised it's already on streaming, and I've heard shit about it. Yeah. So I'm like halfway through, and I'm like, none of this is what I expected this to be like. And then I found out that it wasn't the Rob Savage movie. It is a completely different movie, also called Dashcam, also coming out in 2021. And that's the one I saw.
Oh.
That being said, this is a really good movie.
Oh.
I had a really good time with it.
Do you know who directed this version you watched? Who's in it?
He was
other than it not being Rob Savage.
Well, I mean, I kind of tuned everything out after I saw it wasn't a Rob Savage thing, and then the movie, I'm like, you know what, this movie's still pretty good. Let me get the guy's name.
That, definitely will not. It's going to be funny because it's going to be like Savage Bill instead of Rob, or Bill Savage. Or Savage.
No, it's something a lot different. But anyway, while I'm getting his name, the movie follows this guy who's editing footage for a news station. And before the movie started, a local politician, like the former attorney governor or attorney general, has been killed by a police officer. And they never recovered the police officer body cam because he wasn't wearing one. So, of course, a bunch of people think that this is a conspiracy. And this news station has gotten the exclusive rights to show the dash cam footage of what happened. And as they're showing the dash cam footage, as the guy gets the dash cam footage, he gets another. The director and writer of the script is Christian Nilsson.
Yeah.
The guy who's editing the footage into the news segment gets a second email from the state of New York, and he downloads it, and then he gets a phone call.
Uh-oh.
And the phone call tells him that he was sent confidential things by accident, and if he didn't click, and they asked him if he clicked the link, he said no. And the guy's like, okay, well, what was in that link is stuff that you shouldn't be seeing and could put your news segment and news company in jeopardy. So if you did click that link and you did download them, you would delete them, right? And the guy's like, yeah, of course.
Totally.
And then he's like, okay, we're on the same page. And then the phone call ends. And then he starts going through the confidential information. And he finds out that the conspiracy was right and it was a setup.
What?
And it leads him down this like rabbit hole of trying to kind of break free from being an editor and use this information to like launch himself as a newscaster and stuff. And at the same time, his paranoia is increasing because like this is stuff he shouldn't have. And he hears like people banging on the doors down the apartment. There's a black SUV parked outside that goes away, but then it comes back. And like his paranoia begins going into overdrive as he's trying to piece together what really happened to this person.
Oh, messed up.
Interesting.
For a movie that is pretty much two locations inside a guy's apartment, and you're watching his computer screen. The tension's actually pretty high in this movie.
Oh, it actually sounds really good.
It does. And looking at the Rotten Tomatoes scores, apparently you saw the better dash cam.
Oh, no.
Honestly, the Rob Savage one has low ratings. I'm going to fucking watch that one when it comes out still.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Rotten Tomatoes is not always the best source of information on quality films or not.
But yeah, like
can't
this dash cam movie was actually pretty good. Like
Cool.
I would definitely recommend it to people to go check it out. It's more of a thriller than it is like a full on horror movie, but like it's a really good work of tension building.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it sounds like it was based off of some pretty good forebears. It's inspired by Brian De Palma's Blowout and Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation. So I think if you're going to be inspired by somebody, those are two pretty good creatives to get inspired by.
You know, I didn't even know that Rob Savage was doing another movie.
No, I didn't do that.
It's a Blumhouse movie, so
Yeah, they do churn those out.
Yeah, it's apparently out somewhere.
well, they released it in September in film festivals.
Yeah.
So like because it had the film festival release, it already
Okay.
has
So that's where
like
they're getting like that date from.
Yeah.
yeah.
He did that Zoom host movie.
Yeah, Host was really good.
Yeah, I
I
really like that. But still, this one sounds super cool. It sounds like that Jake Gyllenhaal movie that I haven't watched yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Jake
Nightcrawler
Gyllenhaal movie either.
Yeah, no, the new one that just came out. Well, maybe not new, but it's on
he's got a
He
Netflix.
new
plays like a police dispatcher. The Guilty, I think it's called.
Yeah, or something like that. Like,
I
yeah,
haven't seen it yet. I would definitely recommend this dash cam movie. It's in points it's predictable, but it has some really cool tension building moments, and like it had me on the edge of my seat a couple times.
If you ever watch the dash cam movie you intended to, be sure to let us know.
I will if I ever get the chance to watch it. I definitely will. So.
Yeah.
and then compare and
Yeah.
contrast the two.
Which is the better dash cam that came out in 2021?
They sound wildly different.
They do. That's why I was watching it and I was like, this is not what I was expecting based on what I know the other dash cam is about. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, I'm watching a completely different movie, also called dash cam.
Yeah. No, the Rob Savage dash cam, it sounds like it's another COVID-19 inspired lockdown movie that is filmed from the perspective of an iPhone and a dash cam in a car involving a woman traveling to the UK to escape the COVID-19 related lockdowns in the United States and continues filming her live streamed band car show, only to be drawn into a horrific situation when she is asked to transport the blood-spewing Angela in her car.
All right, now you got my attention.
Yeah, that
for-
sounds like fun.
A little bit different from the dash cam you watched.
Yeah, just a tad bit.
Nobody's spewing blood in that one.
No, it's just there's actually no blood in this one.
Oh.
There is a gunshot that happens, but like you never see like the full impact of the gunshot. This one's just a really good, like solid masterclass in tension, and the like less is more, as they say sometimes.
Good.
Where you have to piece things together with like your mind
I like
and
doing
use
that.
those brain powers that you don't seem to really use much anymore, Matt.
I've grown beyond that.
Matt can take an hour and a half movie and turn it into a 4 or 5 day spectacle.
Yes, I can.
If you're ever wondering what they write all of these, like the ending explained for the most obvious movies, those are for Matt.
Those are not for me.
Like the ending of Thor Ragnarok explained. What did this mean? And when Matt's on there clicking like www.whatthefuck.com.
No, I'm like, let me explain it to you.
As soon as Matt finishes watching a Marvel movie, he's instantly watching those YouTube videos trying to explain all the little connections between the different movies.
Yeah.
I am. I love watching all those little Easter eggs. I want to know what they're hiding.
There was a blurry object in the background that was out of focus, but that related to Avengers number 37, originally published.
See, you get it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. What's next?
Amazing.
An extra suddenly walked in, but that was intentional.
That Starbucks cup is a reference to the editor didn't fucking do his job.
Like,
well, the Starbucks logo is a mermaid, which means Namor is going to be coming. And as we all know, it's Mephisto.
It's Mephisto. It's always Mephisto.
It has to be.
One day.
Always.
There was red in the Spider-Man poster, so Mephisto is confirmed.
I did not do one of those breakdowns of the poster. I saw people doing that, and I'm like, that's a step too far. And or it's all very obvious what it is. Oh, there's robotic tentacles. I think that's Doc Ock. Really?
Sure. What? No, it could be Omega Red. We don't know.
Oh my gosh, it's so true.
Everything's connected.
Everything's connected.
What do you have for us this week?
Fuck all, man. I got nothing.
Perfect. Matt?
I have been incredibly burned out, which we've talked about in the past. I know you, me, Villame, we've all been struggling. Matt, apparently less so. That might just be a brain power issue.
It is. I'm a greater ventriloquist. I can do anything.
You can. So I have been catching up on Saga comics because apparently I haven't read any of these in like 6 years. And they've
Saga's so fucking good.
It's fantastic. And it comes back in January, so I'm trying to get caught up on like the last 30 issues that were sitting in my Kindle.
Is there a YouTube video explaining them?
I don't think that's
sure
necessary.
there are. I'm sure there is.
I don't think that's
Google it, Matt.
Yeah,
We don't need that.
I will give my full report.
I am amazed at the scripts Brian K. Vaughan and his artist Fiona Staples come up with. It's just, I don't know how he's able to sustain like constant surprises every single issue, and the way it's laid out, like there's always at least one really fantastic holy shit moment in each book, and it's just it's consistently great. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it. So that's what I've been doing this week, is on and off going back into my Comixology app and trying to play catch up.
Honestly, Saga is one of the best comics out right now. Like,
Yes, it is. Yeah,
it is. It is just fantastic all the way through.
Depending on how the second act goes and how he finishes it up, this could very well be an all-timer for me, right up there with like Transmetropolitan and Preacher. It's
you ever read
fantastic.
Why the Last Man on Earth?
That's another one I never finished, but it was also very, very good.
That's what introduced me to Brian K. Vaughan, and I've just been devouring his stuff ever since I've read that.
Yeah. Although I never finished Why when Saga came out. I was like, oh, fuck, that's the guy that did Why the Last Man. Well, I better get all of these. And I have all of them so far. I have all of Why the Last Man. It's just a matter of trying to prioritize it and get it read.
Did you watch any of that show, even though I know it's done?
You know, I didn't even know it was out until I saw the thing that it was canceled after the first season. I'm like, wait, they released this already? Apparently
it was horribly received.
And apparently it was a streaming exclusive on FX's streaming service, which I don't know. I've got enough fucking streaming services. I don't need to be going after yet another one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
There's sorry too many of them.
I am looking forward to the point where we reach so much oversaturation with these streaming services, and I think we're already there. So the next step is for all of the companies to start merging. Like I think Warner Brothers is going to be doing it with HBO and Discovery, since they've kind of joined forces under AT&T, and they've started to kind of conglomeratize one another. So that'll be good to finally get like two services in one, the way it fucking should be, since they're all owned by the same fucking people.
But Matt, what do you have for us this week?
Yes. So I finished up The Bad Book, which is anthology, from John F.D. Taff. Super good. It's funny because I feel like it's been out for a little bit, but it's like nobody's talking about this.
That Haley Piper story she opens that anthology with is amazing.
Yeah, there's so many good stories in this. So for anybody that hasn't heard about it, it's basically kind of sort of taking stories from the Bible, or just basically kind of twisting that kind of religious side of things and making them all evil. So there's a Haley Piper story in here, Chrissy DeMeester, Alan Baxter, Todd Kiesling, John Langan has one in here. It's awesome. And so Yeah, there's a lot of great stories. There's one Mark Matthew did. It's called like Golgorth Street. And this one is depressing and rough to read. It's basically like this street that this like kind of like, it's like a gang kind of runs it, but they are very, they basically kind of crucify anyone who crosses them, and they own all these houses that they own on the street are basically just like heroin dens. And we're kind of following this couple that moves into one of those houses to sell heroin. And it just like, they have a kid, and the kid grows up in this horrible environment, and you know, like it plays with broken needles for fun and all. Just, yeah, it's so like depressing. And the kid sort of turns out to be a Jesus-like figure because like it like takes the pain away from the woman when the woman, like they cross this gang leader, and it's just, it's a tough one to read, but super good. And then, let's see, like Todd Kiesling's story is interesting because it's about Judas and discovering that Jesus, it's like the night before Judas like betrays him, discovers that Jesus has been eating people. Yeah. And so that's
amazing.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, and Jesus is talking about like this nothing that exists beyond God and the devil, and like, that's who he's feeding, is the nothing is in him. And so Judas has God. The betrayal is basically to be like, Jesus is spreading this nothing and making people eat other people, and I need to stop it. But by the time he does, it's too late.
Oh God, I'm so turned on right now.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
Amazing.
Sarah Reed has a story in here about it's like a modern day kind of witch hunter kind of story, but there's a detective who is psychic but / a witch too, and she kind of figures out who this person is. That like this witch hunter is basically like a serial killer going after women that he deems that are evil, and so then this psychic witch faces off with the witch hunter and kills him. And I'd love to see more of that character. The story, you know, it's a short story, but the character just like pops off the page, and you're like, I want more, because it's such a cool character and cool concept. So that was really good.
I love it when short stories have to do that. Like
yes.
They want more. That means it's a good story.
Exactly. And just this character deserve, like I could see like a series with this character because it's just so cool. John Langan kind of does his, I don't want to say usual, his style, which if you read Children of the Fang and his other stuff, even Fisherman, you kind of know his story within a story. So it's a little bit of that story within a story. It's a preacher giving a sermon, and it's all about this dream and discovering that like these other beings were around when God was around, and God didn't like these other beings, so started killing them off. Well, there's one called El that was kind of like a bull with like a human face. And so like basically he's preaching to everybody saying like, no, God was a jealous person and killed all these things, but there's still another one out there that we should all like better. And so, yeah, anyway, it's this awesome collection or anthology. It's got these cool little like drawings for everything, and you know, it's kind of treated a little bit like a Bible. So each chapter, it's the book of Mark, the book of Todd. It's super cool, and I want more people to read it because it's neat that he did this.
I started the bad book. I need to get back to it. It's just some of those things where I start like an anthology, read 1-2 stories, and put it aside and want to go back to, and then I get another anthology and start like 2 stories. So all these half-starting anthologies, I need to get back to read the rest.
Yeah, it's good. You definitely should go back to this one.
I mean, I read the first 2, and I loved both of them. Like, Kirsty DeMeesters was great. Yeah, Haley Piper's was great. So I need to get back and get the rest of that done.
Yeah, it's super cool because they go, I mean, like they jump all over the place, but you can all see kind of what like parables they're talking about or what references in the Bible they're kind of pointing to. So it was super cool.
That's awesome. Vitlame, what about you?
actually happy to say that I'm kind of recovered from my burnout a little bit.
Well, good.
Yeah, it's not as debilitating to sit down and write anymore, so that's good. That's what I'm reading. I haven't finished it, but I started reading Almost Ruth by Tyler Jones.
Oh, how is it?
So far, it's good. It's kind of this dread that's leading you on. You just really, really need to know what the fuck is going on.
I have it on my Kindle. I need to get to that too.
Yeah, I'm planning on probably trying to finish it either this week or next. But I did finish The Last House on Needless Street.
Oh, nice.
Yay.
I was a bit disappointed, to be honest.
Were you?
Well, I loved everything. I mean, there was so, I listened to the audiobook, of course, as well. And I just really needed to know what the fuck was going on. But the twist disappointed me. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's a tired trope in horror, I feel.
It is. I mean, I don't want to spoil the book because I do want to have a bigger discussion on it. I feel the way that trope was handled could have been handled in a much worse way than it was.
Yeah.
Has been handled in a much worse way than it was.
Yeah.
And I feel she did a good job of making you kind of angry at this person.
Yeah.
And then once the trope is revealed and you seeing what's really happening in that person's life, it really brings you more of a sympathetic feel towards them.
Yeah.
That I feel made that trope work better than it has in the past.
Yeah, it did. But at the same time, the disappointment of what you wanted at the beginning kind of still lingers on, though.
Yeah, for me, I had no idea what to expect, so I was like, everyone tells me this book's great, I'm going in.
I mean, I definitely recommend people check it out. I mean, it's definitely, it has so much tension, and just, the characters going back and forth in the chapters is super interesting. I really loved Olivia the cat. Being a cat, having two cats of my own, I was like, oh my god, she nailed being a cat. What the
fuck? That's amazing.
Yeah, I just really love that. I actually watched Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
It's a lot of fun.
It is. It's super fun, but at the same time, I kind of, if it hadn't been for the the little Marvel nods in the movie, I wouldn't have expected it to be a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's funny. We rewatched it the other night, and I was thinking the exact same thing. Where you're kind of like, if you didn't know it was a Marvel movie, you wouldn't know, like, as they did. Like, it's just like a good, solid story that's just completely separate from anything else except for like one tiny scene.
And it has a villain that I actually really liked and I really empathized with.
Yes. Yeah, that was a cool concept.
It's like not the usual villains that we had in the MCU.
The MCU has a lot of bad villains.
It has a lot of bad villains, but this one I felt like it was an authentic one. He felt realistic. Despite the supernatural elements, of course, but it's something that a father definitely would do, and a loving husband.
Yes, yeah, that scene when like near the end when we kind of get that flashback when he's going to that, like, I don't know, that gambling den or whatever to avenge his wife. You're just like, yes. It's like, you're an idiot.
You're like, yes, but then in the back of your mind, why the fuck did you bring your child here?
So totally. Oh, man. Yeah, that was...
Just let him wait in the car.
Yes. Oh, man. I did have to love his outfit in that. He was such like a Don Johnson from like Miami Vice.
Yes. He never changed that fashion.
No.
Like, at all. If I had been Shang, I would be like, the fashion has changed, man.
Yeah.
Just a cool blazer would be okay.
You don't have to roll up your sleeves.
Nope. It has to show off them rings.
You know it. Oh man, yeah. No, I did. I really liked it. Even the second time watching it, was just like, this is so good.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable. I loved it. I love the sidekick, Katie. She was hilarious.
Oh, she was perfect. Probably
I saw
one
that
of the
back
better.
in theaters. I need to see it again, but that movie was just so much fun to watch.
It's super cool, and it's crazy. Like, because I was trying to remember right when we had started, I was like, I can't remember how fast it gets into the action. I mean, like the bus scene is like minute 10 in the movie. Just like, oh yeah, this is an awesome kung fu movie.
Yep.
It's a really good kung fu movie.
That's so much fun. Thoughts to Rush Hour. Especially the bamboo scene. I was like, immediately when I saw it, I'm like, bamboo, very strong.
Yes.
Oh yes.
And I'm like, no, bamboo, not very strong. And Chris Tucker screaming in my head.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, they totally ton of inspiration from Jackie Chan. Just some of the moves, you're just like, oh yep, I've watched these stunt bloopers already.
Just one of my favorite like martial art tropes is when they use their jackets to deflect punches. I love it. I was like, why isn't anyone doing this?
It's so true.
Can you imagine down in a pub like in the middle of downtown here in Reykjavik and someone was like in a fight and they're like, oh, hold on, let me take off my jacket first.
Yeah, let me whip this off and twist it around your fist. Make you punch the other guy.
We're wearing such huge jackets. Like this. Yeah. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, you just get tangled up.
It would, and people probably would be just too drunk to even notice. So it would be like,
oh man, the only thing in that movie that like I feel talking about tropes and other stuff was, and Mike, have you seen it?
Not yet.
Okay, well then I won't fully give it away. But the second like end credit scene, that twist, I was like, man, we always kind of get that twist, and I would have liked something else.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm sure it's setting up for the second one. So.
Oh, most likely. Well, speaking of getting over burnout, I finished a novella this week.
Good for you.
Which one?
Sisters of Manchester. It is legit super new. It came out a couple weeks ago, but it's called Sisters of Manchester. It's written by Selene Kapsaski and Jeff O'Brien. Selene's more known for directing the Trauma musical Spy Darlings.
Oh my god.
And Jeff O'Brien is more known for like Bizarro stuff.
Okay.
And even Lloyd Kaufman has the cover blurb, so
amazing. I am on board.
It is about a trans woman named Sonia who has broken up with her ex-boyfriend, or now her ex-boyfriend, and he is a shape-shifting monster that is killing everybody in the way between him and getting Sonia back.
Oh wow.
And Sonia finds herself at a women's shelter called the Sisters of Manchester, where she befriends women who reveal themselves to be a coven of witches and let her into their coven, and things kind of go down from there. They bake a time travel cookie, and they see Motorhead live in the 80s. And yep. And it gets fucking gross. Lots of body horror, lots of some good gore scenes, and a good sense of humor about it too. Like, it doesn't take itself too seriously. So you got some laughs as like the book goes on as well. And it has a really nice climax to kind of neaten everything up.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's Selene Kapsaski wrote another book as well, or Kapsaki wrote another book as well, but it's out of print right now. But this one's really good, and Spy Darlings is one of the better trauma movies out there, so I would recommend checking that out too.
Oh, trauma.
But yeah, if you like trauma, if you like weird shit, and this book's weird, but it's fun. And I really highly recommend it. I had a blast reading it. Almost every chapter made me laugh.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
It had some really good gross out horror moments. And it's just a lot of fun.
Awesome.
It's just a lot of fun.
Just a lot of fun.
Fun is good.
Sincerity in that voice.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. I've also been reading, I got from Kickstarter the other day, the anthology In Filth It Shall Be Found by Outcast Press. And it's just 20 short transgressive stories. The only authors I recognize in this anthology are Craig Clevenger and S.M. Fedor. And everyone else is new to me.
Nice.
But so far, like the first two stories, the first one was QP Dollface by Claudia Santino and Sap Tap by S.M. Fedor. They were both very fucked up and let me know, like, hey, this is where this anthology is gonna go. But I'm a fan of transgressive stuff, so I'm happy to see people really kind of trying to push those buttons.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, I guess it's time to get into the invasion of hell.
Yes.
So
Yes.
This story, I thank you for picking this story, Villamay. It took us a while to get to it, but this is a good one.
Yeah, we've only been trying to get to this for like a month and a half. So
Yeah. I was trying to remember. I was like, because I know I read it the one time we were going to cover it and then moved on. So I was like, well, reading it a second time, it was really cool. But yeah, I was trying to remember. I was like, I feel like we were just going to cover this at some point.
It'll come up eventually. But thank you for your patience, Villamay.
Even though I'm not known for it.
So when did this collection come out? Is it out?
Yeah, it's out. It came actually last year.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. It was first published by Dead Man's Tome, but Damascus, he pulled it out from that publication. He's now being, this short story collection is going to be republished through Terror Tract Publishing.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
Well,
Why'd you pick this one?
Well,
This story?
Yeah, Villamay, why?
I loved his collection, and I had a really hard time picking my favorites because they're basically all of his stories in the collection were really, really good. So I basically just asked him, like, what is your favorite? And he gave me like a list, and then I decided, like, you know what? We haven't talked about hell that much. Let's just talk about hell.
well,
It's good a reason.
there's a lot of hell in this story.
It is.
There is a lot of hell in this story.
It kind of reminded me of Spawn. Did you guys ever read that comic?
I did read Spawn. Spawn's a great one.
Not about the comic. Watch the movie.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I saw the movie.
Yeah. Well, you guys did it the very wrong way to go about that one.
I mean, come on,
That
John
movie
Leguizamo.
That movie is atrocious.
But it's got John Leguizamo
You know, aside from that, like, he was a really good clown.
and Michael
but-
Jai White.
Yeah, but that there was still a lot of script and directing issues with that film.
Yeah.
That's not one I would recommend.
It definitely hasn't aged well. I think I did watch it recently, and then I was like, apart from John Leguizamo, this is bad.
But this story reminded me of the good comic book of Spawn.
Well, yeah, I mean, Spawn was created basically by the Prince of Hell to.
Yeah, this was kind of like Spawn 1800s invading England. It was fun.
It's
And they
interesting.
blame the Russians for everything.
Yeah, that's what I was like going for, because I was trying to think. So, like, for our listeners, basically we're set up in London, 1898. It starts right off that way, and London is being attacked. And like Mike said, some people think it's the Russians because they were itching for a fight. and others think it's demons because there's fire and people are shooting at these things and they're not dying. And so it's kind of this like people trying to figure it out, but at the same time they're trying to escape because London is on fire. And yeah, like I was trying to, it made me realize how much of history I don't know, because I was like, what are Russians attacking? Like, was like that like a thing back in 1890s?
You know, that's funny because I was wondering the same thing. I was like, I don't recall any of this happening, and I don't think it did. I don't.
Yeah. So I can answer kind of that kind of setup if you want a little bit.
Yes.
Because there's author notes in this arc.
Oh, of course there are. Damn it.
I was thinking, I think if Russia would have invaded England, we would have heard about this.
He doesn't talk about the whole Russia part, but the whole idea of this story was written for an anthology called Hell's Empire, and the premise is a world style invasion of Victorian Britain by the forces of hell, and all the stories in the anthology are linked together.
Oh, okay.
I definitely saw that. I saw World of Worlds in this for sure. And then I also was trying to think too of like, and it doesn't sound like it might be that, but just the kind of general concept of the city being on fire and everything happening. I was like, oh, is this like a World War I kind of like allegory? I mean, I know it's 1898, but still kind of that like town going to shit and fire happening everywhere and people not dying and everything like that. I was like, is this like his little take on something like that? But War of the Worlds for sure. I mean, that is like handprints are all over this story.
Yeah. I'm looking at the anthology now. It has it sounds pretty cool actually. It's got S.L. Edwards in it.
Oh, nice. It's always good to see Sam in more stuff.
And Charles R. Rutledge.
Nice.
As well as Ross Baxter and Charlotte Bonds.
Huh.
Yeah, I want to check this out.
Cool. Yeah.
Anyway, back to this.
Back to this Latin story.
I just love this whole aspect. Like, there's demons attacking. Oh, it's just those fucking Russians. That just delights me to no end. That absolutely slays me.
Yeah, and I think he also managed to portray how the Britain wouldn't really take it as seriously at first.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can definitely see that in the cousin of Martin, and he's just sipping tea like, oh, it's probably nothing. Just shut down the curtains.
Yeah, just the Russians.
Yeah.
Let's go back to bed.
Because they definitely were this kind of like casual about this because they had this the logo how was it again?
Oh yeah, the keep calm and carry on.
Keep calm, kind of carry on. It's basically that.
Yeah.
And you can feel that in Martin's personification.
Yes. So the story kind of bounces back and forth between like the nameless, which are basically our demons, and then Calvin, Martin, and then we get another cast of group in there in a little bit. But yeah, it's like they're just sitting in their house. They're kind of peeking out, but they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be fine. The engineers are gonna burn all the bridges, and we'll be safe
once the bridges are destroyed."
And Martin's laughing because they're talking about like, why did they like bless the Thames and all this like stuff, and he's like, these people are insane. Why do they think it's demons?
It's just Russians.
Yeah.
Russians that are leprechauns and wood nymphs.
Those fucking Russians and their wood nymphs. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But like too, I like
they're magically delicious.
That like for that first scene with Calvin and Martin, it's like perfect, especially for that time, because I mean now with cell phones we're all going to know what's happening at all times, maybe, but less so in this, where they're kind of chatting, they're like looking through the windows and seeing stuff, but it's like we were saying, the Russian thing, they like nobody knows, but they don't leave the house. They're like, we'll be fine. I mean, you even get a point where the wind, like the fire is so bright outside that even though it's like 3 a.m. and it should be dark, the living room area is still lit up from all this fire, but they're kind of just they're sort of okay. Calvin's a little more like something weird is happening, but you find out he's more worried about his daughter that he sent away. And so, but it's just that interesting idea of like, back at that time, you'd have no idea what was happening. And again, cover War of the Worlds thing, it's just like, you don't know that aliens are attacking.
Yeah. And it's also at that time, it was pretty normal to send your children away to like boarding school or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know about them until maybe they came safe home afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I like the next part of the story when Calvin is awake. I think he's awakened by a knock on the door.
Yeah.
Or like, and then he goes down and there's his daughter with a bunch of ragged looking people.
Yes.
He's like, my daughter can stay. The rest of you, fuck off.
Oh, it's like perfect. It's just so funny. And then like, he just eventually breaks down. He's like, all right, come in. But then the uncle is just like, who are all these people?
What's all this rubbish, lad?
Yeah. Stealing his food.
Who are these people?
What's the deal with all these people?
What's the deal with the fire?
I mean,
the children are missing and you brought a priest. What is the deal?
And I also find it really hilarious, even though, there's a priest there and he's, shouting about, hell on earth. And they're like, get the fuck out of here.
It's the Russians.
It's the Russians.
Oh, my God. Or like when they do eventually. The church. So the other side of this is the Nameless, which they
the Nameless one is the leader of the Damned right now.
Oh, you're right. The Damned, which are kind of like zombies, but not. Basically, all the dead come back and they're on fire and they bleed fire.
And they don't know who they are.
Yeah, exactly. At this time, we're like, we don't know what's happening. We just know it's these guys, but their whole goal is to get to the churches, and that's like. End of one scene is like this huge fire, and then it cuts to the Damned, and you realize that they're busting into a church and smashing it. And I did like that. Like, I liked that we kind of get some of this, like, I don't know, like texture or like character development for the Damned and everything. And so like the bigger, like the general demons or whatever, they can't go into the church because it's consecrated. So they have to have the Damned go in and mess it up and bleed. I think they have to like bleed on it. And so then that's how he can come in. And so I like that. Like we get these nice little touches of like, well, there's still rules they have to follow, but they're breaking the rules. And then so like you get a little bit more know what's happening. But then, they break one of the altars and then just a huge pillar of fire comes up, which was crazy.
I love the imagery there. Like the descriptions, you really managed to imagine what was happening.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, it's demon, devil, hell stuff. So like the generals are mean to the Damned, but then they're still like all being controlled by the Nameless one. And they're like, so it's just this kind of whole thing happening. And I love the description. There's like one that's super tall and one it has like 20 hands, and then like there's one that has a cat head and a human head.
I love that. I love that description. Haberim.
Yeah. So it's just
like Haberim, who appeared as a handsome man in body but possessed 3 heads, one of a serpent, a man, and a cat.
I
kind of thought that it was like, wait, so you guys all associate cats as hellhounds? Or what? I know cats are assholes, but come on.
I just kept picturing like the cat head asleep or just like trying to clean itself. And they're like, no, focus. We got something to do. And you're like, I'm a cat. It's like hacking up hairball. Like, oh, Bill.
Well, it's a Hellcat, so it's gonna be like an acidic airball or like something on fire that's just gonna like kill somebody.
I don't know. It's just
with this cat army is that in the middle of a battle, it's just gonna lay down and take a nap and start cleaning itself. It's like, okay, just fuck off. Go,
I'll deal with this
what
later.
You gotta do. Yeah, I'm not dealing with this right now.
It's so funny. We got our army of cats. Let's go.
general's like, you have to invade that church, and the cat just looks at him with like this evil glare, like, you're such an idiot. I'm not doing that.
I loved like the scene where Calvin just steps outside and pigeons are like falling out of the sky on fire.
Yes. Oh, that.
That was awesome. That whole like escape scene is great because they're like escaping the house. Like Uncle Martin like decided that he still needed possession, so he was like holding stuff. And a man on a bike, which I was just imagining as a penny farthing, like hit him. And like they were like, "You old bastard, get out of here!" And so then they go, and then the house falls on somebody. It's a great, lots of action happening.
It makes you really feel like everything's going to hell, like right now.
Well, because that's even too. It's funny because there's like they see a wagon with a bunch of people in it yelling that like the church is done or something, and it's just like. Yeah, it's just the chaos of that, which is captured so well in here. And again, that World of Worlds kind of thing of like the mob just doing their own thing, trampling people, running everywhere, not knowing where to go. And then, then we find out we get our Calvin gets attacked by somebody, and then they realize they recognize him as Calvin's father.
Yeah, his father is the nameless one.
Or like, one of the.
Oh, we also missed this part right before that where Alice begins to tell Calvin that like she drowned her brother.
Yeah.
No,
Anne.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Anne.
it's not. It's Anne.
Oh, my bad.
Come on, get it right.
I haven't had coffee yet today.
That was a hard scene to read.
Yes, that was tough. Because you're just like, damn it. And it's like she kind of had the right idea, but then you realize a little bit later on, maybe she didn't. She was like, I'm just trying to save him. Murderer.
And then the nameless one, when he goes to strike Calvin and then stops, noticing like Calvin's his son or was his son.
Yeah.
But he did kill somebody.
He did. Dun, dun, dun. His granddaughter.
You're just a mindless creature. Well, you're still kind of retaining a little bit of your memories as you are walking on the earth again.
Yes.
And then the first person it kind of kills, it happens to be your granddaughter. You're like,
yeah, right. It's like, damn. But yeah, I like that because then that's when we get the like idea that like basically the devil was like, well, I'm going to use all the people that know the area and make them attack because they'll know where to go. Because that's like where the dad is starting to recognize places and recognize where he's at. And he's like, oh, there's the bar I used to drink at. And there's the brothel I got stabbed in. So it's this kind of like genius plan, though it is interesting. Like it would have been fun to like think about because they said like he'd been planning this forever. So he was like collecting all these damned souls. But you're like, the town would have changed. Like, would there have been like a really old soul that he like put out and the guy's like, where's all my huts? I don't understand.
God, that would have been hilarious. This is one ghoul just constantly banging on a wall because he thought that was the road before. And he was like,
like, I remember the farm being there. Why is this building here? I would love that. Like it's a modern day. And what are these things with these circles driving around? This just confuses me. Damn you, devil! And then the crazy cat general is like, and then starts hacking up a hairball, and they're like, oh, I gotta clean that up.
I just like that you've got this confused grandmother in the middle of this war. Like,
that would be so awesome.
Hell's demon is grandma.
Granny, what are you doing? I was killing people when I was your age. And they're like, why, Granny? Why?
Holy fuck, Granny Smith was a serial killer.
You see my cat, Fluffy? And then the cat's just sitting there on the general. It's got like 30 hands because why not? And it's just like... Oh, man, that's a whole other...
Kind of disappointed in this story, huh?
No, I just took it as a jumping off point for my new series about Demon Granny.
Like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. They've got the evil grandmother chasing them.
But she's just really confused. She could like solve mysteries. It could be like a modern day thing, and it's like all her about talking about the country way back when it was just like two little huts and like a pig pit.
When I was your age, there used to be a marketplace here.
Now let's go catch that criminal.
They used to sell vegetables right on the corner there.
And then it would complain about the prices, of course.
As it's swallowing other people's souls. Granny, stop!
What demon house is this?
2 pence for a pound of potatoes. What kind of evil sorcery is this? I have to eat your soul, farmer boy.
For any people living in Britain listening to this, I apologize for horrid.
King Arthur's still in the court. Granny, that was like 1,000 years ago. What's happening?
You know, I knew the lady in the lake. Did I ever tell you that?
She was a whore. Granny, why are you telling me this?
She was pulling everyone's swords, I tell you. She had no qualms.
Oh my God, I love it. It makes me so happy.
It's not Matt.
Let's get in the car and roll. They're like,
you know what a car is, Grandma?
I'm from hell. I know everything. Like, God, just
if we ever do a movie of this, we need B. Arthur to be cast. She's still alive. I guess it doesn't matter. We can resurrect her if we need to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's been dead since the Star Wars holiday special.
That's not true.
That's not true. I don't know if you watched that. She's been dead after. Oh my God! All right. So.
One thing I will say I did like is when we have the image of the Thames being like blessed.
Yeah.
And it turns into holy water, and all the demons like get burnt into ashes trying to cross the river.
Yes, they're like melt, but then like the one was like, whatever, we'll get through this soon.
It's funny though, because Thames has been deemed, it's just been this dumping ground for everything in the past couple of centuries. But I actually read a news article now that it's now teeming with life. Like there are fish, and I think in one of the article mentioned like there was a shark there.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, maybe if you poured holy water, maybe something.
Killed all the eels, so no more eel pie.
Yes. Eel pies of theirs.
Yeah. In my day, I used to eat 3 eels, swallow them whole.
Oh my. I'm pretty sure the last visual we needed was Granny deep throating in the lamprey.
Yeah,
I'm glad you picked that one up.
That was a lot.
That's what she said.
Mind your elders.
Taught the lady in the lake all she knew.
She took all my customers.
That. Are you just plotting out your demon sex erotica story in our podcast right now? Is that what's going on here?
It's gonna be a combo of like 80s sitcom and demon erotica granny stories.
Granny porn. Great.
A little bit of like Miss, or what's her name from Murder, She Wrote.
Oh dear.
Anyway, this is a really good story.
Yeah. Anyway, Betty White, if you're looking for a new movie, call us.
Yeah. Gotta practice your voice. Hey!
This was a really good story, though.
even though it ended like really like sad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was fitting though.
I dug
It
it.
does raise that question as to what would construe like a justifiable homicide. Like, is any murder automatic damnation?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like,
I
the
mean,
guy just presumes that since his daughter killed her brother, that she was automatically going to hell, and he can kill himself and go be with her. But, you know, there's got to be wrinkles to that, right? Like,
Yeah. I did like how he kind of became like the new nameless one at the end.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was just like, oh, now he's his father.
That scene where he's like carrying her to the church, and then there's like that creepy dude that's like, "Oh, my pretty," and like he doesn't even care, and you're just like, just imagining this packed church, and he's in there with this dead body, and then he shoots himself. It's like, damn, it's intense.
It is. And then we get that final scene with the Hell's minions and stuff.
Yes.
And it was a really good way to end the story.
it was.
Yes.
I really like, you know, these downer endings.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just one of my favorites because you can't always have like a happy ending in a horror.
Yeah.
I agree.
Exactly.
I think it takes, you need to earn the downer ending, I feel.
Yeah.
And this story earned it. There's tons of like horror stories I've read where they didn't earn the downer ending. And I just like, it just falls flat. But when the story kind of nails it, it's like, ooh, that was impactful.
And it's just really good world building. I love this whole imagery of England on fire and being overrun with demons. I love shit like that. So
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to London a couple of times, and he nailed the descriptions all around. I just couldn't imagine myself walking there and be like, oh, everything I know there is on fire.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I like, too, that he went with, like, an alternate history route.
Yes.
Where there's this imaginary fear of Russians invading, because that, as far as we know, never actually happened in 1898.
Yeah. Yeah.
And taking this route, I thought it was really neat that he put it in almost, like, not even the 1900s. It was, 1898?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a neat time period and approach to the story that you don't see that often. You know, normally if you see a story of, like, hell invading, it's set in modern day. You know, they're usually dealing with, like, modern day issues of whatever's going on politically or sociologically. So I thought it was really neat that he put this in that kind of time frame.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, it was like a timeless frame where you know, most of the majority of things that happened in history weren't that, you know, perceivable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I also like how he took kind of like the bigger world buildings, the bigger like world struggle or bigger England struggle, I should say. And like, let's just focus on one man and the shit he's going through. And we just watch everything blow up in chaos from like this one person's perspective.
Yeah.
And that to me, like really, he nailed it.
Yeah. And it does make me curious about the wider realm that this anthology that it was originally published in, what is going on in that world, that there's this fear of Russia in 1898 invading and what all else is going on. Because you figure, like, England is this secluded island. It's got a body of water around it to protect it from the mainland. So it's like, well, they needed to bless the tame. So obviously something big is going on in Europe. This is not just contained to London.
And I'm trying to remember because I feel like they talk about that because the uncle references Russia, but then I think the Calvin, so I guess the nephew is like, well, they would have to get through like France and Germany too, or something like that. So it does feel like we are getting kind of a bigger, a hint of a bigger thing happening. I mean, and especially at the end is basically just saying like, well, we're going to go through all of Earth, and this is just one part of it.
Right. Yeah. This is just the first theater of war.
And I love too, like the way he describes, because he does mention, he's like, all right, well, they definitely they destroyed the bridges, but that Thames is that's going to be a temporary blockade that they're going to figure it out. And then he gets down to like the commanders reading from here. Commanders on both sides reorganized and counted casualties. The fires of perdition opened and more souls from the abyss blossomed. Black roses upon the earth, all of them moving upward through the pit to their ultimate destination. And I just love that image of a black rose kind of coming up. And it's just kind of giving you this idea of like, oh, no matter what they killed, they're all coming back up. They're going to keep doing more.
Right. And
Yeah,
if you have this concept that any murder is automatic damnation, like you can't fight back against this war without going back to hell and becoming one of the soldiers.
Yeah. And in the end, hell's army just grows and grows and grows with each life they take.
It's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies kind of thing, right? Like,
war that you're never going to win.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless
it was...
would come down with his angels and everything, but he doesn't care.
Yeah. And that's why hell is awesome and will win. Satan is good. Satan is our friend. Satan is good. Satan is our friend.
Oh, Mike.
What are you laughing about, ancient text boy?
Oh, Satan. That young whippersnapper.
Granny's giving hand jobs to the devil.
I feel like this is just going to be what our Sperm Jackers from Hell episode is going to be like.
Yeah, that's probably a preview.
Get ready. Oh, my God. I'll practice my voice more.
Yeah, work on that.
Yeah, you do.
I keep like doing like a fist like thing when I do the voice.
Don't fist yourself doing the voice.
No, please don't.
Like the Munchkins, like.
But I will say, like, this, I don't know. I didn't know what to expect from this story, but as soon as the whole thing is kicked off, I was hooked.
Yeah.
From pretty much early on. And I need to read the rest of this collection.
Yes, you need to read the rest.
Definitely.
The
Now,
story was just so much fun.
is this just a one-off piece for this and for this collection, or are there any other stories related to it?
It's just one piece.
Okay.
But there
I
are
think you
are
go, Villamay.
Yeah, there are 3 stories in here that are connected, and they're kind of like a horror comedy thing, and it's so much fun.
Oh.
Yeah, the first story is called A Night at Fat Diablo's, and the other one is called A Night at Satan's Palace, and the third one is called A Night at Choco's Premiere.
Nice.
Cool.
It basically follows 2 best friends, like elderly, like I think they're in their 50s, 60s, I think. And they're just like trying to traveling around the States and just having fun. And they always end up in these weird situations where they're like, oh shit, we ended up in a vampire den? What the fuck? And they have to try to, survive whatever happens to them. And it's so funny.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I told Damascus that he needs to do a short story collection with just those 2 guys because they're hilarious.
I'll be sure to check those out too.
Yeah, there are a lot of really good stories in here. Like I said, I had a hard time picking. Like one was called The Tenderness of Thorns. This one was much more of a downer than at Majorem Satanae Gloriam. Just a heads up. Theseus Damned is so good. We're actually gonna try to do a novel story together.
Ooh.
It's basically a guy made his own labyrinth, and he found a minotaur, and he trapped a couple of 11 or 7 people in there, and they all have to find a way out before the minotaur finds them.
Awesome.
That sounds awesome.
We need more minotaurs.
Yes. And it's so good. I definitely recommend that. And also another story called Soil, Native, and Otherwise. That's a vampire story. Nice. But it's something that I did not expect. And I still am kicking myself that I didn't think of this one. And I told him that, and he was like, okay, that's a huge honor to hear. And I'm like, no, it's not. You have much better stories than I do.
Well, you can always steal it.
There you go.
Yes. But all of his stories in this collection are super good. So if you like this one, you should definitely continue on with the rest of the collection.
Very cool.
Perfect. And you know what I'm also really excited for?
What?
Wicked Rex of the West.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Next week, coming
Next
at
week.
you fast.
And we're actually going to be meeting with co-authors of that book, too.
Oh nice.
And Edward Lauren.
Oh yeah.
And
Darren
is it Darren Knopf? I can't pronounce his last name.
Kapanoff?
Yeah, we'll ask him when we see him.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But this is going to be a really fun discussion.
I believe it will be.
And I'm going to start reading that book later today.
I believe it's Darren Kapoff, but I guess we'll find out.
We will.
Tune in next week to find out how the fuck you say his name.
Thank you again for recommending us a story of it, LeMay. It was a blast.
Always happy to recommend good stories.
And where can our listeners get in touch with you?
I'm actually on Twitter now, so you can find me. Yeah, I'm back on Twitter. Not as frequently as I used to be, but I'm back. You can find me on Twitter at VitlemayS. I'm still posting silly writing-relating videos on TikTok at VitlemayMist. And you can also find me on my website at VitlemayMistAuthor.com.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Matt, what about you?
I am on Twitter at BrandenburgDM.
And Mike?
You can find me on Twitter at MikeH5856 or hit up my website at michaelpatrickhicks.com.
You can follow the podcast at Into Staring on Twitter. And be sure to give me a follow on Twitter as well at Rudy53088. This is Richard Gerlach saying keep staring.